our famous Ek0p. He's a master of BM. We got Alesh, and I hope his Alesh army is following up. So we're improving. We got some player picks for you actually prepared to show you
Wow.
who is actually playing and how do those people look.
It's actually Master of BM.
Actually, master of BM. Yeah,
Wow.
that's an awesome title, I would say.
Y-
We got Shaman versus Druid. So Ek0p always playing his famous Shaman versus Alish with the Druid here. What do you say about this matchup? Ram Druid versus Shaman?
Ram Druid versus Shaman. I think Shaman is really versatile. He can, like, if you get a good draw, you can basically win against any deck. Um, it's pretty good. We don't know if Ek0p runs a Black Knight. You really want to have a Black Knight against almost any sort of Druid. Of course, against a token, it's less relevant. But especially, we can already see there is a Senjin Shieldmaster scenario, so we will have a lot of taunts on the side of Alish.
A lot of taunts. That's almost normal in a token, not a token druid, in a ram druid. We had that ram druid from Thais. It was more a rush druid actually. Then we see a silence from Alish. This is extremely important to just get rid of that stupid Selness card draw. And Ek0p has nothing to throw against Alish 2/4 minion at the moment. We see he has a Fire Elemental, Fairy Spirits, 2 Hex, and a Earthshock, but he has nothing to kill that minion, and this is always annoying. So Alish can just Raz here, use his hero ability, and get those 2 wolves killed, or he's going
Ooh.
for an Innovate Ancient of War or Ancient of Lore. But as you say, there's an Hex, there's a Silence, so many options to just get rid of everything.
Yeah, we see he wants to just keep his innovate to be prepared to use it with a big combo in the end. We saw it already. Turn 10, you have the Ancient of War with the copycat.
With a Faceless
Faceless
Manipulator.
manipulator, of course. And you can see that that is a really potent play and one Alish might aim for.
That's correct. At the moment, it's looking okay for him. Ek0p could go for his Flame Tongue Totem, but if you use it, you're kind of killing your own minions, you're getting rid of them. We might see an Hex, but using a Hex for a test dingo hurts yourself a lot.
Yeah.
You kind of know there's going to be at least one Ancient of War. There is going to be a Scenarios, so we see Scenarios in his hand. Maybe a Ragnaros trolling around. So there are a lot of big minions that are potentially coming, and Ek0p just wasted 1 Hex away to keep his minions out. And there's even a
Ooh.
Starfall. This is interesting to see. We haven't, well, it's sometimes upcoming in a Druid,
Yeah,
but not a lot.
we see it more and more nowadays that people put in a Starfall, and especially since all those upcoming Shaman decks are getting more and more frequently played, you can use a Starfall to clear the entire board more or less because all those totems, if they didn't get buffed up by Defender of Argus, have 2 HP or less, so you can swipe the board, which is extremely important, especially as a Druid, because your only board clear else is a swipe, and that, as we know, only deals 1 damage to all the minions.
Well, he kind of needs his Azure Drake or an own Selness to make good use of it. There we see an Ancient of War coming, but it's kind of unlucky for Alish if he plays it. So maybe go for Scenarios to get those 2/2 totems. 2/2 totems, 2/2 trees. They can actually tank away Selness, and they can break the shield of Ek0p's Argent Commander. If he just goes for the Ancient of Lore, it will definitely die. So this might be the smarter move now.
Yeah, as we see, he has 2 Ancient of Lore. Yeah, this minion might die, but he gets the card draw, and he has an Ancient of War as well. So really potent hand for Alish, and Ek0p already used one of those hexes, so it's gonna be tough for him to deal with the Ancient of War. He has, of course, he has the Urshock, so it gets to a 5/5 without a taunt, but still, there are a lot of big minions on Alish hand.
We might see Flame Tongue Totem incoming, potential play here. He really doesn't want to waste his Hex here. We talked about it. If you use your Hex again, you have no more option to get rid of a really big minion. Well, except the Black Knight or the Earthshock for the Ancient of War. He might go for the
He can
Flame Tongue
clear the
here.
board without a problem.
Yeah, he can clear the board, but still, his Selness would go, his Totem would go,
Yep.
and that's kind of annoying. You're just, well, you're clearing the board, but you're losing a lot of your having out potential. So he can attack and just lightning bolt. Then he's overloaded by 1, and he can handle it. But he needs to keep the hex. He cannot afford losing that 1 hex. even if there's only a 5/5, it's still a 5/5 being annoying. But we know there's that one Starfall. Could be, yeah, now Starfall plus hero ability, getting rid of those 3 minions is value.
Yeah, I think that would be one of the best plays, if not the best play right here. Here it's of course also the option to go for the Ancient of Lore to draw some cards, get more options, but he has plenty of options on his hand. So yeah, I'd say go Starfall, hero ability, as you already said, get rid of the Flame Tongue Totem, because Flame Tongue Totem, one of the most important shaman cards.
The annoying thing would be if you just play Ancient of Lore, it would die.
Yep.
So either to the Argent Commander or to Fire Elemental something. And he even has another Argent Commander in his hand. So playing it is okay, but in the end it just hurts you. The most annoying thing is Earthshock plus Argent Commander kills an Ancient of War, since there's that one damage from the Earthshock plus Argent Commander, and that's slightly enough to get rid of something like an Ancient of War. So that minion is more or less useless in Ale's hand at the moment. Karen is okay,
Karen.
so that's a nice thing to have. But same thing, it will get just silenced and killed.
It will get silenced or hexed. You have multiple options on the hand of Ek0p, but Ek0p is slowly but surely running out of cards.
The big question is he running those Manatai totems or Azure?
Auctioneer.
Well, Azure Drakes obviously is running. Maybe one of those auctioneers. So even if he's running out of cards, every card plus, like a Yeti, is just so much value. He could hex now or do what we said, just Argent Commander Earthshock.
Well, the problem with Argent Crusader Earthshock is if you see a Salnus swipe, for example, clears the entire board. You don't really want to risk it. But I think that's what he has to do. He wants to keep his hex for the Ragnaros, for example.
The good thing is, using your Earthshock here, you kind of get rid of 6 HP, easy mode. With the Hex, you could get rid of the whole minion, but the same thing you couldn't do with a 4/6 minion. So you could silence that one, but if you want to kill it, it wouldn't be able with an Argent Commander. There is that one swipe we were talking about, but without spell damage.
He would need an Azure Drake or Salnus to make perfect use of it. He would have been able to clear the entire board. That way, he is sort of in trouble.
We might see a bear form. The annoying thing is your minion will just die to the 6/4. Well, the board might be cleared, but we can also see a Hex, maybe. That was the best move for Alesh to do here. He can draw cards or heal him up twice, so he might have plus 10 HP. It looks okay for him. If there's a Black Knight, something in that direction upcoming, it would just be devastating. But Ek0p is just here with a Yeti, Rockbiter, Fairy Spirit's Hex. More or less, he needs to play his Hex now. But the good thing is, look at his board. There's a Yeti. There's a 6/4. There are 2/2/3s. And Alesh has, well, he can draw some cards, but he would drop down to 1 HP at the moment. Well, another Druid Claw. So it's okay for him, but he can only play Druid of the Claw plus Harvest Golem, and that Druid of the Claw it might just die to the Fire Elemental, and he can still take 4/8 with a Rockbiter 11 damage at the moment.
Do you think he's gonna trade with the Fire Elemental, or rather go with Rockbiter on himself? Go trade one of the go attack with the Yeti, or not even on himself, just Rockbiter your Yeti. Oh, he could. Does he have lethal? He has lethal. It's over.
It's just a perfect top deck here for Ek0p. So with an Earthshock and a Rockbiter, it looks extremely good. That's just enough damage to win the game here. But this is how a Shaman works. Perfect top deck here for Ek0p. In the end, he manages to pull off the win. So yeah, and I'm still sticking to we might see a Rogue here.
You think Rogue? I think Rogue is risky, but you're right, it is a Rogue. The problem with Rogue is, against the Shaman, that you always have those annoying totems and the Spirit Wolves as taunts, and the Rogue has trouble to deal with those, and you want to have the board cleared for your really big combo at turn 8 or 9 with Leroy, Shadow Stab, maybe even prep Eviscerate, prep Cold Blood. You have multiple options.
Well, the one good thing you have is just your Deadly Poison, Blade Flurry on your weapon. So this is your biggest weapon against a Shaman. The good
Salnus, Fan of Knives, is also an option.
Works also. The one good thing is just if you get your combo, if you get your deadly poison, you can kill those spirit wolves twice. So there are first spirits incoming, but he already has a deadly poison weapon, so he might be able to kill those two. He could even backstab SI7 agent additionally to kill another one. So it is looking okay in his hand. And as we know, a Merca Rogue is able to win 2 games in a row, even against decks that are made to counter. And there
Wow.
is even the Blade Flurry. So
I think he will keep the Blade Flurry and go for backstab SI7 now. Maybe even backstab the totem, SI7 the wolf, and just attack with his weapon. That's also a possibility. Get rid of 2 potential threats because, yeah, Flame Tongue is always an option, and yeah, he would receive a lot of damage.
well, keeping the Blade Flurry is okay.
Would you use it right now?
It's tricky. You know there are 2 times Spirit Wolves. The thing is, you don't need to use it now, since you might have an Assassin's Blade in your deck, so
Yeah.
that's even stronger with Blade Flurry. The big question is, are you playing 2 Blade Flurries or only 1? If you're playing only 1, don't use it now. If you're playing 2, you could just use it. Right now, it works well for him. He can just attack again, or Blade Flurry anyways, and then weapon up and attack the second time. Well, or just go shift, backstab. He can go
He could
shift,
clear the
coin,
board now.
SI7 agent, just Blade Flurry. But you already attacked once, so if you Blade Flurry now, that wasn't optimum. But he really wants to. He just
He wants to keep his blade.
But I would have played it different. Just go coin, shiv, SI7 agent. You don't have an auctioneer in your hand, so he wants to keep the coin for an auctioneer draw to go crazy auctioneer mode.
Yep.
But at the moment there's no auctioneer in sight, so I might have used my coin early on. But it's okay to not. It still looks good for Ek0p. We see a Defender of Argus in his hand, so he just dropped that between those 2 totems and plays a Rockbiter, for example. It would look super good for him now.
There was another play he could have went for. He could have just backstabbed the taunt totem, for example, SI7 the healing totem, and then attack with his weapon into what was left.
If he wants to clear the board and
If he
kill
wanted to clear the board, but because if you check it now, you want to deny a big board of the shaman because then the flame tongue gets really critical. And if you keep the board of the shaman clear, you can also just launch attacks at him.
Well, but now we see the Blade Flurry value is growing bigger and bigger. So if he Blade Flurries now, that would be
Ooh.
extremely good. He doesn't need to. So there's a 1-3, 2-3, and a 1-3 totem. And the good thing is, even if he plays another minion, he can still Blade Flurry and get so much value out of it. There won't be another Argus incoming, buffing them up to 1-4s. So they will stay on 1-3. And he even drew the second Deadly Poison. So if he really wants to, he could a second Deadly Poison to do those 5 damage Blade Flurry. It would hurt, since you lose the potential of attacking twice with a 3 damage blade. Still, it's an option, roaming out, especially with the Fire Elemental out now. So, and Ek0p is just nuking the 3 damage in the face to trade with his 2-1. That's a good move for him, but we might see that Deadly Poison Blade Fury now. He wants to drop an auctioneer to draw more cards. The annoying thing is there's already 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 damage on the board. So he's on 19 HP. He kind of needs to look out, especially with Ek0p's hand. There are 2 lightning bolts. That's 6 damage more. That's 16 damage possible.
Does he want to Blade Flurry now? Risky.
Well, if he doesn't Blade Flurry, he might take too much damage. If he conceals, he has a super good hand. So there's Leroy, Shadow Step,
Leroy, Shadow
Leroy,
Step, Cold Blood.
Cold Blood.
He needs a prep.
He needs a prep. That would work out perfectly for him to burn next turn a lot of damage. If he conceals here and...
The problem is he's dead. No, he's not. He
No,
doesn't have a Rockbiter.
That's only 16 damage. With a Doomhammer, that's... Well, with a Doomhammer, that's 20 damage.
420. Yeah, he's dead. If he... Well, he's dead.
No, there's a preparation coming into the...
Wow.
So that was some really lucky card draw for Alesh, and he just saves his ass barely. In the end, it turns out perfectly for him, but it was super risky. As we see in Ekop's hand, there's a Doomhammer plus double Lightning Bolt, and that's 10 damage just out of nowhere. It's still 10 damage now, and with an Azure Drake, it's even he could just nuke 8 damage with those 2 Lightning Bolts.
But you really want to have his Unbound before he uses those lightning bolts.
That's correct. Still, or just 2 Azure Drakes out to use those Lightning Bolts would even be more damage. The annoying thing is, he can drop his Doomhammer now, but as we know in Alesh hand, there's Leroy, Shadowstep Leroy, plus Cold Blood, that's 16 damage, plus the Auctioneer is exactly 20 damage. Though Alesh has lethal at the moment, just waiting to be played. And that's the power of a Miracle Rogue. Even though he went extremely lucky with that preparation. As you said, he needs one, he got it, and now it looks like Alesh is going to win.
Yeah, if we don't see... If he went for the Unbound Elemental plus Totem or Unbound Elemental Defender of Argus, would he be able to survive? I think he would.
He just drew the Argus with an Azure Drake, so he wouldn't have it in his hand.
True.
And there's Leroy
right.
coming now. That's 10 damage. That's 14 damage plus the Shadow Stab. That's just enough damage to win the game. That was really bossy played by Alesh here, but it pays out for him. He just wins the game with a Miracle Rogue. And as we know, and as we saw it before, from Nimsh, for example, he just won 2 games with a Miracle Rogue in a row. So that deck is extremely potent. We saw
It's really strong with the taunts. If it's a handlock, I would definitely go for the handlock.
I accept your opinion, and I'm the same here. So let's start the game without any further ado and see what Ek0p has prepared for us.
And it is a handlock.
With a Twilight Drake already in his starting hand, so this is looking good for Ek0p. If he redraws a Mountain Giant, even better. But Alesh has an okay hand too, so there's an Auctioneer roaming around. But for Ek0p, well, that's an Ancient Watcher. That's okay somewhere if you
That's
can taunt
fine.
it up.
It's good.
Yeah, so if there are also 2 Ancient Watchers taunted up, Alesh is kind of in need of double Deadly Poison or Assassin's Blade with Deadly Poison and Blade Flurry to be able to pull off a win here.
Yeah, and also really important for Ek0p, he gets the coin, which is incredibly important, or not incredibly important, but incredibly valuable for a handlock, and also the rogue needs it, not only for the card draw with the what it's called, Auctioneer, of course, but also for the combo potential with the SI7, for example.
Especially if you have your Conceal in your hand, you want to play Auctioneer, Coin, Conceal. That's not possible now, and Ek0p can just go turn 3 Twilight Drake with a bunch of HP. So there we see his 4/8 Twilight Drake, and no sap for Alesh. So from now on, Alesh is just going to take 4 damage, 4 damage, 4 damage continuously.
Would you go for Defender of Argus now and then just copy it with the Faceless next turn? I mean, you get rid of your turn 10 combo, but in general, against the Miracle Rogue, just hoping to go for the turn 10 kill combo is really risky.
Well, I would use my Faceless, but not like you said. I would go for Ancient Watcher, Sun Fury Protector first. So counting for their turn 10 combo with Faceless is unlikely. The main problem, if you just go Defend of Argus now and make it a 5/9, there could be that one sap. And if it's coming, it's just super unlucky for you and you're going to cry some tears. Now it could already go into that sap direction, and then we both would be sad. There's a preparation, more card draw, so he's really hoping for a sap. There we have it. So if you just went for your play, next turn you would just lose it. So that's kind of sad for you, but you can still just face this Manipulator now. And as you said, that's a really good play. You would get another 4/6 minion. 4/6 is not the world, but it's still okay. Shadow Flame is the one OP thing in a handlock against Rogue, since he could just do that easy mode without getting hurt in any way.
Yeah, and Alesh is a bit in trouble.
Well, he can clear the board.
But he's down to 16 HP.
Not only that, his weapon is gone, Deadly Poison is gone, and like one stupid Earthen Ring Farseer incoming now is just standing in Alesh's way. And that's just 3 damage per turn, but that's 3 damage you're taking, and he's already on 16. So, as we see, power overwhelming plus Faceless, turn 7 incoming. At the moment, with a Leroy, he could deal those 14 damage we were talking about.
I see.
That Fan of Knives was really nice to get his SI7 agent comboed.
And
So
also prep.
yeah, and well, Ek0p might have a Soulfire if he wants to kill a 3-3,
Another Earthen Ring.
but there's Leroy, so 14 damage is possible, and not only 14 damage, it's on turn, what's it? 4, 8, on turn 9. He could deal with Leroy and Defensive Argus 15, but turn 10, he can deal 24 damage. If he survives until turn 10. That's always risky, especially if there's an auctioneer upcoming here in Alesh Sand.
The problem is he needs to trade with the Earthen Ring Farseer, else he's dead 100%. Because yeah, Miracle Rogues, Alesh doesn't have any taunts.
So that's the first card to be drawn.
He wants...
Well, either he wants to draw a lot of cards, that's obvious, and deal as much damage as possible, but he also wants to get out someone like Van Cleave. But that's super annoying for him now. We counted the damage Ek0p has in his hand, and this game is going to be over now, since there's Leroy, Power Overwhelming, Soulfire, together with the 3-3 on the board. That's 17 damage.
Yeah.
That went...
Can you spot lethal?
That was unlucky for Alesh, so he didn't predict that one coming. Either way, there was still Soulfire and Siphon Soul, so Ek0p could have cleared what is on the board, but he just wins the game here, and it went quite quick. That was a fast game.
Yeah, it definitely was. And we see Miracle Rogue losing. I think Alesh played it a bit, yeah, I don't want to say sloppy, but really